Hi, and thank you again for tuning in to the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama. And this week I have another throwback episode, and this is a rerun of episode 5. And in episode 5, my guest was Angela Frazier. And back in January 2004 was when this episode first aired. And Angela's Etsy shop was known as AV Custom Designs and More. And today she's still selling wedding related items. Her Etsy shop is now known as AV Wedding Designs. And I remember this conversation with Angela so vividly because we talked about how she started making the wedding shoes that she was making, which at the time were like the big thing in her shop. And it was just a really funny story, and I remember that. So you get to hear that again if you haven't heard this episode before. Angela is still selling on Etsy. She still has her Etsy shop, and she's branched out into selling a lot more. I know that she now has a website. She now has a mailing list and a newsletter that she sends out. And so I think this is a nice example of just seeing how one can grow one's Etsy business. So if you, after you listen to this conversation, I encourage you to go and check out Angela's shop and see how it's evolved over the last 3 years since we spoke. And I hope you enjoy the conversation, and give Angela a shout out. All right. And I will be back next week. Hi there. If you're listening to the podcast, then I assume you're either a maker, a blogger, or you run a creative business. And if so, I'd like you to join me for a conference that's coming up next year. It's the Craftcation Conference. It's held once a year, and it's a 4-day conference that features over 80 hands-on DIY craft workshops, business classes, and social events. It's held from April 27th to the 30th, or it will be held from April 27th to the 30th of 2017 in Ventura, California. Now, Craftcation is a conference that's put on by Delilah Snell and Nicole Stevenson, and you might remember I've had them on the podcast. They're the ladies behind Dear Handmade Life, and I had them on the podcast in February of 2016, and that's episode 116. If you'd like to listen to our conversation and just learn more about them, please do go back and listen to that episode. And we also talk about the Craftcation Conference in that episode as well. At Craftcation, what you get are skills that you'll need to start your business if you haven't already, or if you have a business already, take that business to the next level. You'll make longtime friends at the conference and also build your community and support system. It's also a good way to just get together with the creative community and discover or rediscover the inner artist and crafter inside you. Again, Craftcation happens only just once a year, and every year it does sell out. I believe there are about 400 people that attend the conference. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's not too big and not too small, but it does sell out. So if you're planning for your conferences for the next year and you're trying to decide which ones you want to attend, I would recommend Craftcation. Again, it's 4 days. It's going to be on the beach, so that's kind of a bonus. And it's specifically designed for creative business owners. You can learn more about this conference at dearhandmadelife.com. If you choose to go, I do have a discount code for anyone who listens to this podcast. You can get $20 off your Craftcation tickets, and that's if you use promo code Etsy Convo. Again, that's dearhandmadelife.com. Get $20 off your registration if you use the promo code Etsy Convo. But go over to dearhandmadelife.com to learn a bit more about it and listen to episode 116 where I talk to Delilah and Nicole. If you have any questions, you know how to reach me. Here's the episode.
Welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast, featuring inspiring interviews with Etsy shop owners, hosted by Ijama Elazu.
Hi, and welcome to this episode of the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama, and today I have with me Angela. Angela is the shop owner of AV Custom Designs and More on Etsy. Angela opened her shop in December of 2012, so she's been on Etsy selling for just about a year now. She has over 100 sales and 18 five-star reviews and over 550 admirers. Angela, welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here today.
Great. Now, Angela, the motto or one of the sayings I saw in your about page is we bring the bling. And AV Custom Designs and More is all about selling custom wedding designs for brides. And it all started, well, they offer one-stop shop for brides, but it all started with a pair of high heels. And I want Angela to tell us about that.
Yeah, it's really kind of funny. I always like to stand out from everybody. And so one day I just started getting online and I was like, oh, I want a pair of beautiful heels that nobody else has, but I want some bling on the bottom. And everybody was like, but you walk on the bottom of your shoes. How can you have that? So everybody around here kind of thought I was a little crazy. So I made me a couple pair, and it's not the flat part of the shoe where you actually walk on. It's actually the arch part on the bottom.
Oh, so the part that that doesn't touch that middle part that never grazes the ground.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, and I actually created some different designs with some blingy rhinestones, and I wore them everywhere I went. And everybody would stop me going into stores. Oh my God, where did you get those shoes? Where'd you get? Oh my God, look at them shoes. And I was like, okay, so I might have something here. And again, I got online and I was like, I cannot possibly be the only person in the world that has thought of jewel in the bottom pair of a pair of shoes. And, you know, I found a couple pairs that had I do on them and things like that, but not anything with the elaborate designs that I do. So anyway, I started my shop with that, and it got more to where brides were contacting me. So now I do everything for the bride except for the dress. So I'll do the shoes and the veil and the bouquet and bridal party gifts. I mean, you name it for her day, I do it.
Wow. Very nice. And I've looked at what you have in the store, and the shoes, the designs really are very intricate. I mean, it makes you, the shoes Angela sells will give you, if you have no reason to want to kick someone, you're just going to want to show the soles of your shoes just so people can see what's under there. That's how nice they are.
Well, and you know, when you're walking away from somebody, they really do sparkle at them. So people are like, what in the world is on your shoes?
Nice. So what size range of shoes do you offer?
Well, everything I do is basically one of a kind. The basic shoe size that I sell is an 8. So that's what I purchase. But when people contact me with custom orders, they see a pair of shoes on my site that they really like, I'm really not going to be able to get that same exact shoe because when I go shoe shopping, I kind of want to make sure that I get a last pair of something. So I generally can't get that shoe again, but I can get a design as close to that shoe as possible. And, you know, I've done that several times for people, and they send me their shoes from all over. And then I bling them up. Or I've also had several people purchase my shoes off of my site because it just happens to be, hey, I wear a size 8.
Right. So when you say you try to make sure you get the last shoe, so you only try and buy shoes that have only one of the style left on the shelf.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, why? What's the reason?
Well, I don't want anybody, and this might sound kind of crazy, but I don't want anybody to try and replicate what I've done. And if I have the very last shoe, I know they're not going to be able to do that.
Got it. Got it. Oh, smart thinking. I wouldn't have thought about that. I would have just bought. Yeah. Okay. So when did you first discover Etsy?
Well, it's again, everything I do since I've opened my shop is kind of weird. When I opened it, it had been about 6 months prior. I was actually working in a bank. I had left retail and went to work in a bank. And my sister, I opened up a website and I was, frustrated trying to get the pictures right. And I wasn't getting no traffic and everything. And my sister was like, you need to go on Etsy. And I was like, what is that? I don't know what that is. Get out of here. I'm trying to fix my website. And it was last December. It was 6 months after she had first told me about it that I decided to go on and check it out. And, my first 6 months, I had 12 sales in 6 months. And I was like, gosh, this is just a little bit better than my website. I don't know why I left that. And, it was kind of a frustrating time. And then I went in and I was like, I've got to make this work. I don't work full time anymore. I quit that to go to open my shop. And I went in and I changed all my pictures. I changed all my tags. I spent months changing this stuff. And so far, so good. I mean, I've had really good sales since I've done that. So.
Oh, very good. Now, do you still run the other website, your own website?
Oh, no. I shut that down the day that I opened up my Etsy shop.
Oh, I never went back, huh?
Never went back. It was really frustrating for me. It was just terrible.
What was the site only for selling? Did you used to do anything else? Like, did you blog on the site, or it was strictly an e-commerce site?
It was strictly e-commerce.
Okay. So,
yeah.
Okay. So was it hard getting traffic to the website and?
Yeah, I found that it really was. Actually, I think I had it for 6 months, and I maybe had 2 or 3 people, and I give business cards out everywhere. And I was like, I don't understand. And of course I was computer illiterate too. So I wasn't really for sure, about, how to actually run a website.
Right.
And, so it was very frustrating, but I was really determined.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's one thing people don't really realize about selling online is it's so easy now to put a website up because there's so many website builders, building tools and what have you. But it's all about the traffic. It's about having people find you and come who are looking for what you're selling and then buying it. And that's where the work is in selling online. So then you find a site like Etsy that already has the traffic, already has the people who are looking for things, and it's easier to plug in there.
It really is. And, I've really learned a lot from Etsy. I read a lot of their blogs and I'm on a lot of their teams. And, it's just amazing how much I've learned from Etsy and their newsletters. And, it's crazy. I wish I would have listened to my sister 6 months before.
Well, you can give her credit now.
I can, yes.
So, Angela, so we know you sell the shoes. Tell us what else you sell in your shop.
I sell bridal veils, but nothing that I do is traditional. I have a couple white veils, but even they're not traditional. I have a square short veil, and then I have a V-shaped veil. And, it's just a little bit different. But what I'm known for is I sell a lot of camo wedding veils. And I have a 9-foot long butterfly purple and turquoise veil. So everything I do is I try and do out of the box. And when I do a veil, I do the shoes and I do the bouquet and I do the jewelry and the wedding, the champagne glasses. And I do this whole collection at one time. So the bride, she can just say, oh my God, that's just what I need. That out of the box veil is just what I'm looking for. And look, there's everything to go with it. But yeah, everything that I do is really kind of way out of the box.
Now, when you say camo, you mean camouflage, like the military camouflage?
Yeah, there's actually different kinds of camo. I did do a pair of heels that was the green army camo. They sold like crazy. I've got a wedding veil that's also 9 foot long, and it's the mossy oak camo, so it's more like the real tree camo. And then my newest collection that I did for a show in October was the white snow camo, and that one turned out really, really pretty. I mean, with camo, you either love it or you hate it. There's no middle line. Yeah, there's no midway there. You love it or you hate it. So, but yeah, it's really a very popular thing, and not just here in Texas. I've sold all over the world. So, it's something that people just like.
Yeah, it's very different. I'm looking at them now. It's unique.
It's very different.
And I don't mean the bad unique. I mean the good unique.
Okay, good. Well, what I tell my husband is, I think right now I've got 240 items in my shop. There's 240 people in the world. All of them people need one of my items. I mean, they're looking for this one particular item. They just haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, that's kind of a weird way to think about it. And I'm like, that's just the way it is.
Yeah,
somebody needs that.
Right. The first 107 have found their items already, right? Because you sold them. So the other 240 are out there.
They are, and they're going to find me one day.
Do you have a job outside of Etsy, or do you do Etsy full time now?
I do Etsy full time now. I actually left a job in a bank to do my own shop. So yeah, I full time Etsy.
How long have you been doing Etsy full time?
The whole year.
So since December of last year?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Did you do a cold turkey quitting of your job in the bank and then moving to Etsy full time, or did you transition gradually?
No, what had happened is I had decided I'd worked retail for 25 years. I was always a store manager, so I knew how to run a business, but I had gotten kind of burned out on retail, so I went back to school. I quit my job in retail and went back to school, and I wanted to get into the medical office. I thought, that's going to be a great thing. I went and got, finished the school, got a job in a doctor's office, and within a week I had got sick. Like it was debilitating sick. And I was trying to go to work and, at the bank. And I was trying to go to work in the doctor's office, and I just was too sick. So, I quit that job, and then I was lucky enough to get a job in a bank. And I think I had to have been like the worst employee I had ever been, because I was just so sick. I couldn't hardly make it to work. And I come home one night and I was just crying, and I said, honey, I can't go to work. I can't do it anymore. I'm too sick. And he was like, well, that's fine. You'll figure out what to do. And the next day I was like, okay, I'm going to open a shop. So, my husband's really understanding. You just have to know him, but he's like, whatever you want to do is fine. And I went the next day and quit my job, and I've been selling from home ever since.
Wow.
Yeah. And I actually have customers that, I have my shop in my home, and I have people that will actually come to my home, to pick up a little custom order. I had a girl, she wanted a pair of brooches made into some earrings. And so, I did it for her. It was a $5 job, but I always keep, when somebody's coming, I always have it like a little store in my shop area, where people can see what I have. And it ended up being a $200 sale, because the girl come in, she's seen 2 pair of my jeweled bottom heels. Whoa. And she was like, oh my God, I need those. And so $5 sale ended up being $200.
Wow. That's good. Very good. So you can cross sell when you have people come in person.
Exactly.
Wonderful. So around the time that you left the other job, by then your sister had already planted the seed of Etsy into your mind. So it was just a timing thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. So do you have a family?
I actually, I have a husband. My son, he's 22, so he hasn't lived at home for a while, and I have my dog. He's here at home with me all the time. And then my sister lives in, here pretty close to me, but we're so busy that, we just don't even have time to talk on the phone. We see she has a shop on Etsy that she just opened herself. She does jewelry. She'll take a look at my shop and I'll take a look at hers and say, oh, yeah, we're busy. We ain't got time to talk. So, yeah, it's just pretty good. But yeah, that's, and then I have a sister in California, but that's all the family.
Oh, cool. So how do you manage your time between Etsy and everything else you're doing?
Well, I hate to say this, but my work is very important to me, and I really do enjoy it. My husband, he has he's builds homes, so he has his own business, and he's always gone. So, when he's not here, it's shop. It's either I'm, creating stuff in my shop, or I'm over here on the computer, trying to get the pictures right, changing the tags. Because it seems like, when you own an Etsy shop, you have so many hats that you have to wear. You're not only the manager, you're the marketer and the photographer, and, you're just everything. So, there's some mornings that I, get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and I hit the shop or the office. And, I'm going in, my husband's on the couch watching TV going, man, it's 8 o'clock at night. So I do spend a lot of time with my shop, but I'm kind of a perfectionist that way. There's always something that's got to be done,
Yeah. And I think the nature of Etsy being online, it just makes it more accessible and easier to blend in your regular routine of the day. So you can carry it with you. If you have an iPad, you can work, you can be mobile, or a laptop, you can be mobile and take it with you and do things along the way.
Oh, yeah, I love it. Actually, when I'm laying in bed at night, when my husband's not home, because he goes to the lake during the weekend, so I'm home, and that's when I get most of my work done. But, I'll take the iPad to bed with me, and, and I'll be watching TV and I'll be typing away on it, doing stuff for my shop. Mm-hmm. So even though I get out of the shop at 8, that doesn't mean my days stop.
Right. So, yeah. There's always a message to respond to or something, which is easy enough to do.
Oh, yeah. And I found that a lot of the customers that contact me, it's kind of weird. They contact me like between midnight and 4 a.m. So I'll be in a dead sleep like last night, and I'll hear either cha-ching or, the little combo,
yes.
Whatever it does. And I'll be going, conversating back with them, and I'm half asleep. So
yeah.
It's pretty awesome, though. It's nice to be woke up with cha-ching.
Yeah, the cha-ching is good. The cha-ching.
I love it.
Yeah. Plus, the bride, most of your customers, I assume, are brides, and, they're probably losing sleep over the next detail for the wedding. And that's probably why they're up between 12 and 4. Between midnight and 4, sending messages because, they just remembered, I need this or I want that.
Exactly. I agree.
Is your Etsy shop profitable?
I'm just in July is when I had decided, like from December of last year to June 30th, I had the 12 sales. And I just didn't understand why. I thought I was doing everything right. And, so I was like, okay, something's got to give. So I started doing all this research on Etsy and everything. And it wasn't until July 1st that I went in and I redid all my pictures and my tags and all of that. So since July 1st, I've had 95 sales. Whoa. So in a 6-month period, I've had the 95 sales, whereas the first 6 months I only had 12. So yeah, it's, I'm starting to see, of course, I'm not going to profit for a while because I do, I do shows and I have a lot of money that goes out for a lot of supplies and things like that as well. But as for my shop making money, yeah, in the last 6 months, I've definitely started making a lot of money.
Excellent. So,
Yeah.
so the tipping point was you changed your tags and you redid your photos.
Correct. Yeah. And I'm actually still, see, my thing was, a lot of my stuff has so much detail in it. And, I tried several different things when I was doing my pictures. First I used me as a model and my sister took the pictures. And, and then I was told, well, you don't want to use yourself. You want to market your product, not yourself. So I went and I changed them all. I went to a blue background, and then blue just wasn't right. And then I went to a pure white background, and I thought everything was beautiful. But then it seemed like, the white just kind of drug it down. So now I'm still in the process of changing them out, and I'm almost completely done. But I have a brown background now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I see that. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and you'll see, while you're looking on there, you'll see some of my shoes still have the white background. But the white background, like I said, it kind of drugs some of the color out. So, and I found that the brown actually works for every color of item that I have. From the tiaras, you can see more sparkle. On the shoes, you can see more detail in the bouquets and the veils. So, yeah, so it's just kind of an ongoing process because, I've seen people on Etsy that have 1,000 items. I have 240, and it takes me weeks to get pictures changed out. When I have to do that. So hopefully this brown is going to be good, and I'll actually have the pictures taken care of. And then periodically I go in and I change the tags. I want to keep up with what people are searching for. And again, that's a big feat in itself. That takes a couple weeks to do all that too.
Right, exactly. The tagging is, so you have to know what people are searching for, what terms they're using, and then make sure you include those too.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that's a learning curve that is involved with selling on Etsy.
It sure is. But, like I said earlier, they are so helpful, just the blogs and the teams. And, it's amazing. I know why they're as popular as they are, because they really seem like they want to help people, small business people.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome.
Yes. Yeah. The community on Etsy is very different, but very community oriented. Okay, that doesn't make sense, but you know what I mean. It's a good community there.
It really is. I love it.
So before you create a new piece, what inspires you?
Well, there are so many things. I can be laying there in bed and, trying to go to sleep, and something will just pop in my head and I'll go, oh my God. Ooh, okay, I got to work on that. Or I can be walking in a store, like Hobby Lobby, and just see one flower, and I'll go, oh my God, that looks so good on a veil, But I think the main thing that inspires me most is knowing that something that I'm creating is going to make somebody really, really happy.
Yeah.
Whether it be a bride that's, having a special day, or a mom of the bride that's getting, a one-of-a-kind picture frame that's going to make her happy, and she's going to put her daughter's wedding picture in it. It's what I make is hopefully always going to make somebody happy. So I think that's what inspires me the most.
Oh, good. Now, before you make something, do you tend to draw out your designs, or do you just have it in your head and you just start creating?
Well, it's in my head. Actually, I have a new set that I'm fixing to work on. I'm hopefully going to be able to start it on Sunday, hopefully. But I've seen some black tulle in Hobby Lobby, and I was like, oh my God, I did such a beautiful veil with that. And so I start thinking, okay, what would go with black? How would I want to do a long veil with the black or a short veil? So my new collection is actually going to be black with red flowers. And I'm going to do the whole collection. I'll have, the heels that'll go with it and the veil. And it'll be a veil that's totally different from what I have. So, yeah, I have it in my head, which drives me crazy until I actually can get it done, get the whole set complete. And then it's like, that's exactly what I had in my head. It's that. So,
Yeah. Wow, black and red. I'm going to have to check back and see when you have that line out. That sounds like it's going to be stunning.
Well, in my head, it's beautiful.
Well, if everything ends up looking like it does in your head, then I'm sure it will in real life when it materializes.
Well, you know what's so funny? When I first opened my shop, I had a customer that contacted me, and she wanted a pair of, she had a pair of turquoise shoes that she was going to buy, and all she said was she wanted feathers, peacock feathers on them. And I was like, okay, well, I've seen people with peacock feather shoes before, but she didn't give me any kind of detail or anything. She just didn't want a lot of bling, but she wanted some. She wanted them jeweled on the bottom, but not a lot. And honestly, it was the craziest thing. 158 combos with her.
You're kidding.
No. And she was wanting to know exactly what I was going to do. And like I said, most of my ideas are in my head. But, she would, come with an idea, and then I'd, come back with, well, those colors might not look so good together. But anyway, I actually had to take a pair of shoes and kind of make a model pair of shoes so I could send her a picture of how this was going to look for her. And, in the end, we got that done. And she was like, oh, that's gorgeous. Okay, well, I'll get the listing together. And then I'd get the listing together, and she'd combo me back and say, well, what about another way? Can we go with a turquoise shoe? And, shoes is always something. But I was having to draw out things for her. I was having to model, make models of things. Mm-hmm. But 158 conversations later, she purchased. And and she actually sent me pictures. She was going to wear them to her daughter's quinceanera. Oh. So, she actually sent me a picture of it, and I was like, oh, I did those shoes.
Nice.
That was pretty awesome.
I was holding my breath when you were telling the story, because I was thinking in my head, please don't tell me she did not buy after 158 convos. Do not tell me she did not buy the shoes.
Well, I think she felt more sorry for me than anything, because, she ran me through the ringer pretty good.
That's nice. See, that would be one of the things I would think. This is just an idea that came to me for you is if you did have something like a blog, which, I'm not trying to put more on your plate than you already have, but if people sent you pictures of them wearing what you've made, you don't even have to say all that much. You can just have one of those photojournal types of sites where you just post pictures of people wearing what you've made that they send to you. And, hers would have been wonderful because, peacock feather. I want to see the peacock feather shoes.
Yeah, they're actually, if you go to my Facebook page, they're on there somewhere, because I do actually have a blog, but I haven't done anything on it in a year because every time I think I'm going to get on there, something else comes up. Of course. And I'm like, oh my God. So it just kind of sits there. So whenever people do send me pictures of things, I do go ahead and load them up on my business Facebook page.
Oh, okay. So you have, okay. So that's where you're doing it. And for everyone listening, I will post a link to Angela's Facebook page in the show notes and everywhere else on social media that she's on. And while we're talking about that, so how important is social media for your shop?
It's one of the most important things. Advertising is very expensive. So, why not use the social networking? You can, it's basically free. You can have the Facebook page. It doesn't cost you anything. But along with that, you have to take the time and use it as well. So I'm always using it for my Facebook. I have a daily email that shoots out, Then throughout the day, usually sometimes closer to after I'm done working in the shop, I'll get on there and I'll shoot pictures of all of my stuff, gifts for her, gifts for mom, all of that. And I'll shoot them all out, via Facebook and Twitter as well. And you would not believe the view responses. And there's been times where I've, shot one out and I get a sale immediately back for that item. So
Wow.
yeah, I've gotten, I'm not going to say I've gotten a lot of sales on Facebook or Twitter, but I've gotten some. So what I'm doing on there is doing me some kind of good, because that's one person that I didn't have.
Right. Exactly.
So very, very important, and I have the Pinterest, and I'm on LinkedIn and Wani Low, and wherever I can go to get myself out there, that's what I'm going to do. So yes, it's very important to me.
Oh, good. Excellent. And I'm going to post all the links to all Angela's social media channels in the show notes, because she is everywhere.
I try.
Now, for Facebook and Twitter, where you can actually say things, do you only post links about items that you're selling or that you've just sold, or do you actually engage in conversation with people on those platforms?
Well, sometimes I try to be a little bit more vocal with them, but again, time-wise, I just don't have a lot of time. But what I do try and do, if I'm doing an event, like I had an event, a Christmas event last weekend, and I was sitting there and, between the customers that were coming up looking at my stuff, I was on Facebook and I was on Twitter, and I was like taking picture, come here, we're here, it's a great cause. And, so I was kind of engaged a little bit more then. And so I do try and do that. Unfortunately, it's not a whole lot, it's more shooting links out. But one day I'm going to hopefully get better at that.
Yeah. Well, social media, it's a job on its own. It takes time, it takes effort. And, my consolation when I think I'm not doing enough social networking is that some people get paid to do that, and that alone. And so I'm like, well, okay, it's all right.
Yeah, like I said, I try, but I can get on there and I can do that, or I can be creating a new piece and getting it on my shop. So I always lean more towards the creating stuff, opposed to having the conversation. And I think that's probably why I don't really have a blog, because I just can't. Everything I do, I like to give 100% to, and like a blog, I can't give 100%, and I just don't think that would be fair to people who would be following me. But what I do, and I totally forgot to put it on the list when I sent it to you, I also have a newsletter that goes out as well once a month. And every time I do a show or an event or something, I have an email list, and people can sign up. And so they get my email every month. And, I try and do a little bit of conversating there. I always do, for December, it was a special event that I did last weekend. So I kind of, told a little bit about that. And, before that, it was my new camo collection. So I'm always trying to, just make everybody feel like they know what's going on. So, the newsletter is awesome as well.
Oh, great. Will you send me a link to that and how people can sign up for your newsletter? And then I'll include that too in the show notes.
Oh, I sure will. Yes,
perfect. Good. So do you spend much or any time looking at other Etsy stores that sell things similar to what you sell?
I'm not going to say I spend a lot of time. Sometimes I go in and I just see what kind of tags they're using. But with the stuff that I have, there's not really anybody that has anything that I have. So, like I have some eyeglass cases that are bridesmaids. They've got bridesmaid on there. They got bride on there. And there's just not anybody out there that does have that. So I have to get a little bit creative when I'm doing tags and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I'll go in there and I'll kind of take a peek at what, different shops are using for different tags. But as for, really going into them and looking, I might look at the prices that they have to see if what I have is, comparable, to what's going on, different eyeglass cases or something like that. Because, I don't want to be the overpricer, but I don't want to be the underpricer either.
Right.
I want to, I just want to be right there in the middle. So I don't spend a lot of time doing it, but when I do put something new out, I do kind of take a look at that.
Okay. And so far in your year on Etsy, have you had any bad experiences?
Knock on wood, I have not.
Right.
No, not yet. And I hope I don't ever, but I've worked retail for, 25 years.
Oh,
So I know they're out there. You
yeah.
can't make everybody happy, as much as you really want to.
Yes, that is so
So,
true. That is so
yeah,
true.
you just can't. But no, I've been very, very lucky.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you haven't had to deal with any disputes or bad feedback?
No, not yet. I don't want to.
Oh yeah, no, no. But realize that sometimes it is part of doing business. I mean, like you said, in retail, there will always be that one person who,
Oh yeah.
no matter what you do, happiness is not on the horizon.
Exactly. But, I try and accommodate. Now, I've had the post office mess up a couple of my orders. I package my stuff very well, I think, because I don't want it to get damaged. And I've had a couple different tiaras that have been sent. And when the customer received them, they had been smashed by the post office. And they did send me a combo and just let me know. And immediately, I mean, it wasn't my fault, but I looked at it as I was gonna, I could have a return customer, or they could have no tiara. And I offered to replace them with the two ladies. I did offer to replace it. One woman, she said, no, that wasn't your fault. I don't want it. And the other one was like, oh my God, that would be so awesome. I want my daughter to have it. And those weren't bad experiences, and I didn't want them to be a bad experience for the customer either. So, I immediately got it back in the mail. I got it taken care of. I got it in the mail, and, they sent me a combo when they got it. It was perfect. And, and that's what it's all about. I think if you can knock a complaint in the tush before it gets started,
Right.
I think that's the main thing. So.
Right. And just make sure every customer has a good experience with you, even if bad things happen along the way, that in the end, the experience overall was good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So since you've been selling on Etsy, how would you say it's changed your life?
Well, I don't go fishing at the lake much anymore.
Is that a good change or a bad change?
Actually, I love fishing. My husband does tournaments all the time. So, fishing is something that we used to share a lot, especially during the summer. And, the busier I get, it's like, oh, honey, I can't go this weekend. Maybe next weekend. Oh, I got a customer order come in. I'm sorry, I can't go next weekend either, And I leave my house maybe once a week, and that's to go to the grocery store or to, mail packages and things like that. I do try and, send out packages every couple days or so. I live pretty close to the post office, so that works. But yeah, I've pretty much became more of a homebody, I guess, because I'm always so busy working. I don't know how I used to do it when I worked retail, because I would work 16-hour days.
Wow.
But I do it here, but it's different here because I'm at home. I can see my husband, I can see my dog, or,
Yeah.
I can run to the post office if I need to. I'm not tied here. So yeah, I've become a homebody.
So do you think that if you, as your business grows, you could potentially hire some help so that you have a bit less on your plate, not for the creative process of what you're doing, but maybe for some of the administrative tasks?
Oh, yes, definitely. If it came to that point, I definitely would, because it seems like it's the computer part that gets me tied up the most. And I think that's one of the most aggravating things, because I can get on one thing and, like yesterday, I was changing some pictures out and I got to looking at my tags and I was like, what the heck was I thinking when I put that tag in there? Did I do that? So then I was like, the new pictures that I was putting up, I was having to change all the tags. So, this couple-hour job ended up, till 8 o'clock last night. And I was like, oh my God, so I get to do that some more today. But yeah, the computer end would definitely be where I hired somebody.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Have you ever considered, not at this point probably, but virtual assistants? Because I know some people use those. One, just because I guess actually I shouldn't say they cost less, but I think because you don't necessarily have to have them in your office environment. And if they can do things that are online, then it just helps because they can do things remotely. It just take care of things for you. Like, I guess, log into your Etsy account and change the tags and tell you it's done.
Well, what I do is, my sister, like I said, she just recently opened an Etsy account, but she usually is the one that does, when I, get overloaded. She was always the one that would come in and take care of, the computer stuff then, and it was like maybe once a month. If I would get really bogged down. But now that she's got her shop open, our virtual assistant might be the way I need to go.
Yeah. Now, Angela, I'm going to do this. And because your sister was the one who told you about Etsy and planted the idea in your head, and she just opened up her shop, would you mind telling us what her shop name is, just so that we know and people can just hop over there and see what she's doing?
Sure. Yeah, it's Gems by Vicky.
Gems by Vicky.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay,
yeah,
good.
she does. She just does jewelry right now. Yeah, she's got some really pretty stuff over there.
Okay, cool. We'll go check her out.
Awesome.
So, in addition to social media, how else do you promote your Etsy shop?
Well, of course, I have business cards that I carry in my purse, and I have them like at Hobby Lobby, Joanna's Fabrics and things. They've got places where you can put your business cards. I do that. I also have work shirts because even though I work from home, when I leave my home, I want to look professional.
Yeah.
So I have shirts that have my name and my business name on there as well. And then of course I'm constantly wearing what I make, and my winter wardrobe I actually finished as a pair of their hot pink, like house boots. But I put hummingbirds and flower vines on them. So, when I leave my house, I'm all decked out in all this bling, my bling sunglasses and my bling piece and all this, so people always have to know where I got doing my boots or, something. So I'm a walking billboard, basically.
Yeah.
So I do that. And then events, if I, get invited to any events, then I do that. I had a Christmas event last weekend that I did. Let's see, through Etsy, I've been on a couple different blogs. Wed Me Pretty, I was on one of their blogs. I've got another girl from another one that had contacted me. She's going to do a piece on my unique sunglasses that I have, my wedding sunglasses. Okay. So every single way that I can possibly get my name out there, that's what I do.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Do you post what you wear on Facebook too?
I do. Nice. Every time I do anything for my business, it's shot up there.
Are you able to tell when somebody reaches out to you if they found you through something that you left at, say, Joann's or Hobby Lobby? Can you tell where your promotion efforts are paying off?
Usually when somebody contacts me, after, we talk a little bit, I'll actually ask them, so how did you hear about me?
Mm-hmm.
And, they'll either tell me, Facebook, or I got a business card at Hobby Lobby, or, or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I always try and find out, because I want to know where my marketing is doing me the best.
Yeah, exactly. So through Etsy, have you developed any new friendships or business relationships?
Well, I can't say I've really, made any new friends or anything on there. As for, getting on the computer and kind of convoing back and forth with them. But, business wise, yeah, a lot of people on the teams, they're, that we haven't become friends or anything.
Right.
But, I always feel like I've got a shoulder there, in case I need something.
Yeah.
So business wise, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Now, how do you pick the teams that you want to join?
Well, actually, most of the teams I'm on actually picked me, which I'm really excited about that, because every time an invitation comes through for one, I'm like, oh my God, another one. I'm on, I think, 3 or 4 different wedding ones, and I chose them.
Okay.
I like to be on the wedding one, because there's, a lot of brides and things like that get on those. I'm on a couple different treasury ones.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to do treasuries a whole lot. I love to do them, but I just don't have a lot of time. But my products are always in. I'm very, very lucky that people like my stuff enough to keep putting me in treasuries. So every time somebody puts me in a treasury, I pop that over to Facebook as well.
Okay. Yeah. And everyone check out Angela's items, because then you'll see why she's always in people's treasuries. I tell you, there's a reason they put you in their treasuries.
I love it.
Has Etsy had the impact on your business and your professional life that you expected when you first went into it?
I actually expected less, because I was unfamiliar with Etsy. And even though my sister had talked about it, I was like, I don't have a clue what you're talking about, but it's actually been a lot more. My business is growing a lot faster now that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely.
Good. Have there been times when you've just wanted to quit and close your shop?
No, it seems like I always have worked better under pressure. So it seems to me that I'm more stressed out when I don't have a lot going on, opposed to if I'm backed up and I have a lot of orders coming through, or a lot of custom orders that are, hanging in the balance. And, I've got shows coming up and things like that. So, always, I think that I work better under stress.
Yeah. When you get a new idea for something to make, how long what's the creative process? How long does it take you from when the idea pops into your head to executing it to actually listing it?
Well, it usually takes at least a couple weeks for me to actually get it completed, depending on, if I'm backed up or if I've got other things going on. If I think of something one night and I don't actually have anything going on, the next day I'm out getting the stuff that I need to make it. Luckily with me, I've got so many supplies here in my shop. Sometimes I don't even have to leave the house to start a new order. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So earlier we were talking about bridal shows. So do you do lots of craft fairs and bridal shows, or just bridal shows?
I do the local bridal shows. We, like I said earlier, we have 4 a year. And I love that, but I get invited to other things as well. I know I've said this several times, but the event that I had last weekend, it was a Christmas event that I was actually invited to. And the girl actually found me on Etsy.
Really?
So, yeah. So, and I asked her, how did you hear about me? I mean, Etsy's such a big place.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, I just typed in our city, in the search bar. And I didn't even know you could do that until she told me that. But she said that's how she found me. So, I was really excited. And it was actually to help raise funds for a couple charities that we have here locally. And one of them was the Southeast Texas Food Bank, and the other one was the Beaumont Breastfeeding Coalition. So I actually took a portion of my sales to go for those two charities.
Oh, nice. So let's talk. I know you also support various causes. How do you pick the causes that you support?
Well, sometimes they just kind of pick me, and I want to help everybody. If I was rich, I'd probably be broke, because I always feel that I've got to help everybody. Mm-hmm. The main charity that I really, really love is St. Jude, simply because, there's so many sick children in the world, and they don't just take care of the young children, they take care of them, I think, all the way up to 21, or it's not 20 or 21. But, the families never have to pay for anything. And I think it just touches my heart. So that one it's really touches my heart. So, any charity that is going to help somebody and not ask or want anything in return, that's the one that I'm going to lean toward.
Oh, good. So you give a portion of what you get in sales to the causes that you support.
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. Very nice. So for new Etsy sellers, or if there's someone who's listening who's on the fence about selling on Etsy, what advice would you give them?
I would say before you open a shop, get in there, look at their blogs, read up on their SEOs, the tags, get familiar with it before you actually open it, because there was so many things that I had to turn around and redo so many different times, because I was just so unfamiliar with it. And it would have made my transition so much easier had I known these things. But, there's the Etsy handbook, the seller's handbook, any question about photography, tags, everything is in that Etsy handbook. Get familiar with it before you open a shop, because it'll save you a lot of time and frustration.
Yeah. Thanks, Angela. Yeah, I agree with you. I think I'm kind of like you in that, I guess there's some people like to jump in and then make all your mistakes and then learn from them. But there are some people who it's better if you prepare yourself for what you're getting into. And I think that's what you're saying is, it does help. Sometimes you waste time relearning, or not relearning, but learning things that you would have saved time on if you had known going in.
Exactly.
So that's some good advice.
Yeah. It's when I started, I didn't know anything. And like I said, I was almost computer illiterate anyway. So, when people started talking on the teams about SEO, I was like, what in the world is SEO? What does that mean? So then, I didn't know about the seller's handbook at the time. So I'd go on, I searched SEO on Google, and then I was reading that, and I was like, that does not even make any kind of sense to me whatsoever. So I would spend weeks and weeks just trying to figure out what SEO meant. And now that I've got it, hey, I got it.
Yeah.
But it was really frustrating trying to figure out exactly what it was.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, because selling online is really more than just putting something out there. SEO, for those who don't know, is that's the acronym for search engine optimization, and it's a way to let the that allows you to be found when people are searching for things online. And so you need to put in what things that are called tags or keywords that people look for that relate to what you're searching for so that they can find you. And that's what Angela is talking about. And that's really crucial when you're selling, is if you want people to know that you have a pink jewelry box, you have to put the right words in that they're using to look for pink jewelry boxes.
Yeah, because what some people don't understand is like I have a pair of purple jewel bottom heels. Of course, nobody knows what a jewel bottom heel is, so they're not going to be searching on Etsy for a pair of jewel bottom heels. So that was a tag that, even though that's what I call the shoes and that's what my shoes are known for by name, I can't use that as a tag because nobody knows what the devil it is. So, you just have to know. And, the way that I do that is, in the search bar for, on Etsy, you type in purple heels or purple wedding shoes, and it'll actually take you to this page and it'll show you how many items are being searched by that particular name. And, so that's one thing that I'm getting pretty good at it. I'm not saying I'm getting a lot faster, but I'm getting pretty good at figuring out what these people are wanting. Yeah. So,
And it's a learning process. So.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Every day is a learning experience.
Yes. Keep learning. So, Angela, I just want to thank you for joining me today on this episode of the Etsy Conversations podcast.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Again, I'll have links to Angela's Etsy shop and all her social media accounts online.
Thank you for listening. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, and while you're there, please leave a review too. Visit convome.com to leave a comment or feedback on this episode.